Hi everyone, and welcome to the Your Sustainable Friend podcast. I'm Feyi, your sustainable friend and host, here to break down sustainability topics into bite-sized chunks. In today's episode, we'll be delving into the fate of our donated clothing. While the dominant perspective in the sustainability space views the short life of fast fashion as inherently problematic, my recent trip to Ghana revealed that it is a much more multifaceted issue than I initially assumed. We all know that the fast fashion industry can be awful for the environment and that the production process often involves exploitative labor practices with workers enduring poor conditions, low wages, and long hours. And as Maya from Swapped pointed out in Season 1, Episode 2,
fashion is the second most polluting industry after oil.
There is a lot of visibility on the conditions in which our clothing is made, but less is known about what happens after we use, donate, or discard them. At the end of life, discarded garments contribute staggering amounts of textile waste, with tons ending up in landfills. And this is all without considering the carbon footprint associated with transporting these secondhand clothes. In places where our clothes are dumped or donated, local artisans may struggle economically to compete with the low prices of secondhand clothing. While I was in Ghana, I visited Kantamanto market, home to the world's largest secondhand fashion market. From dead stock to charity shop donations, approximately 15 million garments arrive yearly at the ports of Tema, Ghana, and many of these end up at Kantamanto. Before visiting Kantamanto, I had recently read Aja Barbara's book, Consumed: The Need for Collective Change, Colonialism, Climate Change, and Consumerism. While reading this, I learned a lot about the atrocities of fast fashion. I also wrote a blog post about this, and I will link this in the show notes. After reading Consumed, I did a ton of research about fast fashion in general. While I was planning for this episode, I pondered about the best approach to take, what might be the best questions to ask, and how to really capture the truth behind these stories. As I started to plan, I recognized my biases and how they contradicted the importance of approaching with an open mind. I was only preparing myself to hear confirmation about how damaging the secondhand fashion industry in Ghana can be and wanting to bring that message back to this audience. Taking my bias into account, I pivoted my strategy. Instead of imposing preconceived notions, I resolved to let the voices of Kantamanto speak for themselves. I went into the market with an open mind and the goal to let the people there tell their stories. To my surprise, the results from my interviews with sellers were different from what I thought they would be.
When they say it's not good, they are lying. Force is good. Force is very good.
Here, Victoria, who has 8 years of experience predominantly focusing on bar sales, talks about the impact of false. False is another term used to refer to secondhand clothing.
So when you buy the food, so you wash it nicely, you iron it, you put it in a rubber, you call your daughter or your son, sweetheart, please come and collect your dress. And it will be very nice for the person. You don't know it's store or it is not store. My mommy has bought me a dress. Yeah.
So nobody's looking at where it comes from, they're just looking at the product.
Yes.
So you think it's good that they're...
It's good. They should bring it.
Victoria's statement here is where I was first challenged, as I had never really considered the impact on the consumers who benefited from the affordability of the secondhand market.
So do you think it's been good for Ghana that this is here?
Oh, seriously. Without this second-hand clothing, I don't know where some of us would have been to.
You don't know where you would be?
Yes.
Okay.
It helps us a lot.
This is Mr. Martin. Mr. Martin, who inherited the business from his retired mother, has worked at Kantamanto for nearly 30 years, and he reveals that this trade is his family's entire livelihood.
Is there anything else you want to tell us?
Only thing I want to tell you people to bring more goods.
To bring more goods.
Yeah, if you can help.
Mr. Boati is a seasoned wholesaler with over 22 years of experience, and he was adamant that this trade should continue and even encourages it.
So you think it's good for Ghana that they have Kantamanto?
Yeah, Kantamanto is good for Ghana.
Elizabeth, a nightwear, pajamas, and undergarment seller with over 2 decades of experience. Elizabeth believes that Kantamanto as a whole is great for Ghana. Of the 5 people I interviewed, they all said the same thing. The secondhand fashion market is great for Ghana. I had been so focused on the environmental damage that I was not thinking of the economic impacts on individuals, traders, and consumers alike. In my desire to center local artisans and the climate, I did not think of the merchants and the traders who have made livelihoods from this arrangement for generations. But where exactly do these clothes come from? a variety of places. Goods that end up in Kantamanto could be anything, from charity shop rejects to out-of-season or discarded stock which never make it to the shelves. Again, another issue with unsustainable practice. The supply lines are murky and inconsistent. To me, it feels like the West is outsourcing the decision and the discarding process to countries who were not a part of creating these garments and are much less equipped with the infrastructure to deal with this level of waste. When goods arrive at Kantamanto, they come bundled in bales filled with a variety of second-hand clothing imported mainly from Western countries. These bales are assorted garments based on quality, style, and seasonality. Content ranges from shirts, pants, and dresses to accessories like scarves and hats. While I was in Buati's shop, he showed me a bale that contained blankets. These bales undergo thorough sorting, pricing, and display processes by the market vendors before being sold to customers. From my prior research, I had read that sellers often come across terrible bales, which, might I add, still make it all the way across the ocean to simply be discarded or to cause a burden for someone else. In these bales, goods may be ripped and even unsellable. My expectation was to hear more about the issues and effects of getting bad bales. Instead, what I heard from sellers was that it is simply just a part of the trade, an incurred loss that they all seem to accept.
We don't do anything to fix the clothes. But when it depends, see, we don't buy one, we buy it in the box. So if one bale is no good, another will be good. So definitely we opening the bales, it will mix, the bad one will mix the good ones. And that's how we bring them out here and people will be moving. Maybe we wouldn't know you are moving the bad one. And so we just mix them. So the bad ones, maybe they are blessing in disguise, but we wouldn't know. Because we don't buy just one bill, we buy them in bulk. So if this one is not good, the other one will be good. That's how it is.
So what do you do when it's a bad one?
When it's the bad one, you pray to God that they should come and buy it and you get your money and go and give it to the person.
And when I did ask about the effect on the local artisans and the impact of secondhand clothing over traditional wear, Asel, a recent graduate who assists his father's business, said the following.
So you see it as a good thing?
It's a good thing as far as your body is not showing, you are just covering your body. So it's a good thing wearing it to cover something. It's a good thing that way. It's a good thing wearing it for it not showing any part of your body.
He talks about the function of clothing. Although he expressed that he understands and has nothing against traditional wear, he also expressed that it is not always functional for all occasions. And if I'm being honest, he's not wrong. As much as I love Yoruba attire, I wouldn't want to wear it every day either.
So what about like kente
and moreover too, you see, people find it difficult to patronize the boutique staffs. So this is what people patronize more because it's less expensive for them to patronize. Understand? So they are just less expensive.
And the old kind of clothes that I don't know any other Ghanaian traditional clothes.
Modernization. You see, we're in a modern world to the standard. So it will be fun though, even though we have the kente. But kente, anywhere you go, then you see us wearing kente. Even though we are coming to work here, it will be some way. The world is evolved, evolution was, modernization was. So definitely kente, to me, now people wear kente on occasion days. But you can't be wearing kente from Monday to Sunday if Obonuwo wouldn't come there, Charlie.
Do you think that's good or bad? Just your opinion.
For me, if this one they had this Obonuwo, it will be fun living though. It will be fun, like it will be a best stress. You wake up and you put on kente. You understand? You wake up, you put on something. You put on kente. These are our black stars AFCON. Somebody even they find it difficult to wrap it on their body. It will be some way. It's just easy to put it on and you go wherever you want to go.
Now, if I'm being completely honest, that worried me a bit. A lot, actually. And that is because I believed that I had a message to bring. My message was that fast fashion is bad, it's destroying the economy and smaller businesses in the global south, and it's horrible for the planet too, and we all need it to stop. Admittedly stressed by the unexpected perspectives I encountered, I brought this dilemma to my good friend Andrew. I grappled with the fear of misrepresentation and the challenge of balancing my beliefs with the truth of those on ground. I explained to him that I didn't want to be a diaspora kid who didn't represent those from the motherland in the right way. I didn't want to talk about the pros of fast fashion, and I didn't want to admit that anything positive was or could possibly come out of it. I also didn't want to feel like I was being condescending and telling people what was and wasn't good for them. My findings were and are their truth, and who am I to tell them otherwise? Andrew continued to question me, and he asked why to every single point I brought up, and it really challenged me. To be honest, Andrew's relentless questions pushed me to reconsider my approach. How best could I take the information and the accounts I did have and properly present my findings? My goal was to present a fair portrayal of the situation. So without hesitation, let's unpack. Here, I will present the various viewpoints and what I heard from the sellers of Kantamanto market. One thing I thought was amazing about some of these stories is that the Kantamanto market has created long-standing and even generational businesses and jobs for many. Here is Elizabeth talking about her relationship to the market.
And how long have you done this work for?
I'm starting, it's a long time, but I closing before. And I come back to starting again.
Okay, so you did
So
this
maybe, I think 3 years now. I'm
3
getting to
years.
3 years.
And before you closed, how many years were you doing it before? Or 3 years altogether?
So I was traveling to go outside the UK
Okay.
to go and spend some time. Then
Okay.
I come back. So when I come back, in 3 years now. So
3 years since you came back?
Yes, come back
Okay.
and starting now.
And what did you do before this?
For the same business I do for long.
You've done this for a long time. So before the 3 years, how long did you do it for?
Before the 3 years.
Yeah, before you traveled.
Oh, I'm selling this one before
Yeah, how many years before?
I travel.
Yeah.
That's about 20 years.
20 years.
And ASL, our graduate,
Okay, and how long have you been doing it for?
Apparently, I can't say how long. I don't. But the thing is that this is my father's business.
Okay, so your father did it.
Yeah. I've been following my father whenever I'm at home. Since my childhood, I'm also a child. I'm a child. I'm a baby boy. So I've been doing it whenever vacations. I follow my dad to work. So that's how come I'm here. So more times I even come and he doesn't come.
Okay, so now you just come without your dad.
So the only time he comes is when market days he will come and serve his customer, and that's so after that he doesn't come anymore. So that's it. So you see, Friday is not here. So I and my friends, my brothers, we are taking.
And how long did your dad do it for?
My dad, for now I'm 24 years, and more times when he's talking, he said, "Oh, he has done this business like 26 years."
Okay,
Yeah.
even before you were born.
Even before I was born, 26 years. That's what my father says.
from Mr. Buwati, our wholesaler.
And how long have you done this for?
I've done this way like more than 22 years.
22 years. And how long have you been doing this for?
We have done it almost getting to 30 years now.
30 years, 30.
It was my mom who was selling it, and now my mom has gone for retirement, so now I'm taking over.
So you said your mum has gone?
Yeah. No, I have now grown old, so she's no more coming here again.
And finally, Victoria, our brazier connoisseur.
How long have you been doing this work for?
Almost 8 years.
There's a rich history behind Kantamanto and the second-hand market in the global south. Evident in the tenure of our sellers, whose time at Kantamanto ranges from 8 to 30 years. Some have inherited their parents' businesses, while others involved their children in the trade. Back in the 1960s and 1970s, the influx of goods from the West commenced, introducing not only second-hand clothes, but also vehicles and various other items into African markets. The second-hand clothing phenomenon is known by different names across countries. In Nigeria, it is often referred to as Bendan Select or Kirika. In Kenya, it's commonly termed Mutumba, and in Ghana, it is known as
Obroni Wewu.
What does it mean?
When I bring it to English, Obroni Wewu. Obroni actually means a white man. Wewu, a dead white man. So that's the meaning of Obroni Wewu. Yeah, that's in English. That's how I understand it.
As Esel explains, Obriniwewu literally means dead white man. At the time, it was unbelievable that this quality of goods would belong to anyone who was still alive.
In Aja Barbara's book, she goes into detail about how this is actually very much linked to colonization, like so many other things seem to be.
The importation of used goods led to the adoption of Western-style clothing, which became associated with power and status, which is linked to colonial rule. Many then colonized nations, including Ghana, were expected to conform to Western notions of professionalism, including in their attire. Consequently, the influx of second-hand clothing from the global north found a ready market in Ghana. Not because Ghanaian citizens lacked clothing, but because wearing foreign garments became a means of crossing class barriers and navigating the legacy of colonialism. The next aspect I delved into was the fate of unsold garments. What I had heard and seen online and in my learnings about secondhand fashion is that a significant portion of unsold garments may end up in landfills or incinerated, contributing to environmental waste and damage.
So what do you do with the bras that you don't sell?
Sometimes some people come and remove it and go and sell.
Oh, so they take it from you and go.
Yes.
Would you know if they can't sell it, what happens after that?
They can sell it.
They can always sell it?
Yeah,
So you think there's always something someone can always buy?
Yeah.
Okay.
They come and pick it. You reduce it, then take it away, then go and
So
sell it.
someone will always buy, even the bad bales, someone will always buy it
Every
from you.
day.
So, but the stuff that you don't sell, where does it go?
Sorry?
When you don't sell it, if you can't sell it, what do you do?
You just give it to sometimes charity people. Sometimes you just help somebody who don't have it. Just give it to them. If you have the good thing, then you sell it. Okay. That is the problem.
And what do you do with the stuff that you're not able to sell?
Oh, sometimes we used to burn them, or we used to. Some people came and said, okay, I don't have to, then give it to me. So I will sew and then sell and get my daily bread. And then just give it to them, and they also and sell it somewhere.
Okay, so the ones that you don't sell, you burn them.
Either we burn them or we give it to someone who yes, also go to some place and then sell it.
The people that you give it to sell, you just dash them.
I'll take out them.
Okay.
I anticipated hearing some other responses regarding the fate of unsold goods. But it appears that most sellers at Kantamanto Market have proactive strategies for managing surplus inventory, whether it's redistributing them to other vendors, donating to those in need, or repurposing the items themselves. There's a strong ethos of resourcefulness, while only one person mentioned resorting to burning unsellable goods. The prevailing sentiment I saw was one of extreme resourcefulness. In my prior research about Kantamanto, I came across the fact that there are seamstresses and those in Kantamanto who repair clothes. Although I did not see this for myself while there, most sellers I spoke to said the clothes were sold as they bought them, and the onus was on the customer to wash, repair, or disinfect them. Understandably so. There are a number of clothes in each bale, and some sellers report going to get goods multiple times a week, and one even said they have gone multiple times a day when necessary. The resourcefulness even went further onto customers. Many sellers spoke about how resourceful their customers were, highlighting the movement amongst youth.
The university graduates always come here and then buy some and then go to campus and then sell. So with this one, where have they been to?
So you said university graduates come and buy from here to sell at their campuses?
From University of Legon and so on. You come and buy some here and then you go and then redesign it, cut and then design it.
Oh, so they take the clothes from you and they change it and sell it to other people?
Yeah.
And that happens like all the time?
Yeah. As of now, maybe tomorrow Saturday you come here, you see some graduates here buying plenty. You buy and then some will cut it and then rejoin it with colors.
SL talks about how a lot of dripping bad guys also wear clothes from Kantamanto.
The reason why they said Obenuo is that because they've already worn it and they brought it here for us to sell. And these are things to we also cherish. People cherish this when they come and they're buying. I don't know how to say, because when you go to counter, it's the boys. You see they'll be dripping. So they also, these are other side. In as much as they call it Obenuo, they've already wear it and they brought it. The fact that you've wear it doesn't mean that it is. If they don't see anything good about them, but we see the good side or the positive side, because that's what we've been wearing.
Another thing that Kantamanto has brought about are informal schemes that foster apprenticeships. Mr. Martin, for instance, runs a program at his stall where apprentices learn the trade. Not only do university students buy from him, they also work for him. This not only highlights the market's role as a supplier, but also as a training ground and a source of income for many. Mr. Martin explains the relationship he has with one of his trainees.
And you said you train some people.
Yeah.
The people that you train, what do you train them to do?
He asked me of job. He have completed SHS and he want job.
SHS stands for Senior High School.
And I just, okay, he should come and help me. So from here, he made money and he went and paid his school fees.
So he completed his school, came here, worked for you, learned how to do this, and saved
He
money.
left here, that was 4th January.
4th of January this year.
He's now in Cape Coast University.
And how many people do you think you've trained altogether?
Oh, let's say about 4. One guy, as of now, he's a assemblyman at our village, North. He worked with me and he went to Simiani Poly. And as of now, he's a assemblyman of our area.
Looking at the second-hand fast fashion market solely through one lens, there are a number of pros. From a basic economic point of view, the second-hand fashion industry solves the issue of oversupply and excess demand. It responds to the call of fast-made goods and provides solutions for those living in poverty. And if you look at things from a Western view and an overall general life cycle, the second-hand clothing market is fantastic. It prolongs the life of garments, fosters creativity, provides employment, teaches business skills, helps people to save, enables those with limited incomes to access clothing. However, much like the concept of sustainability, it's crucial to adopt a well-rounded, balanced view. Sustainability isn't just about addressing today's issues, but also considering the future by examining the entire picture, drawing from the past for context, understanding the present, and acknowledging the potential implications of our current actions. It's about recognizing that factors and variables may change along the way. There are a number of things that are good for society, the economy, and people's pockets. I mean, the slave trade was great for many economies. It built the West, but no matter how you put it, it was morally wrong and extremely exploitative. So, despite the economic and social advantages anecdotally represented in Kantamanto, it does not make it right. One line that resonated with me from Arja's book was her mention that intention doesn't matter when there is harm being done. These micro-benefits do not offset the global impact that fast fashion has, and these anecdotes are not representative of the whole picture. If we zoom out and look at the bigger picture, before many of these garments make it to the market, kayaye, plural for kayayo, are female head porters who are hired to carry bales across the market. The conditions for many kayaye are not at all favorable. Kayaye, who are mainly women and can be as young as 8 years old, do back-breaking labor for very little money. Kayaye is a fusion of two words, kaya, which means load, luggage, goods, or burden in the Hausa language, and ye, which means women or females in the Gar language. Kayaye, loosely translated, means she who carries the burden. And many of these women do exactly that. But their burden is much more than physical. They are a part of a system that carries a global burden that has been pushed onto those who are neither the creators nor the main beneficiaries of this system. Due to the overwhelming supply of garments, unsold goods are transferred to informal landfills. This results in clogged water systems and ocean pollution. These landfills overflow into cities' sewage systems, which can contribute to flooding and create a public health crisis. Landfills can also become breeding grounds for mosquitoes and increase the spread of malaria. Rainwater in clothing stacks can spread cholera, and garments can also end up being washed onto beaches and polluting the ocean. Looking at the bigger picture, we can see it is a problem. But what exactly is the solution? We all need clothing, and unless you have a perfectly coordinated capsule closet, our clothes serve as more than just practical necessities. They're expressions of ourselves, helping us feel confident and empowered. So, this is an issue for all of us to collectively solve. Although I believe a lot of the onus should be on businesses, there are things that governments and organizations can do and are doing. One significant proposal gaining momentum is extended producer responsibility, EPR, which entails companies taking responsibility for the entire life cycle of their products. We examine how various countries are implementing EPR policies and the impact they could have on curbing fast fashion's environmental footprint. Organizations like the All Foundation are showcasing their transformative work in regions like Ghana, where they empower communities to embrace sustainable practices and ethical production. Companies should embrace circularity in design thinking as a strategy to emphasize the importance of creating clothing with longevity and recyclability in mind. I also believe that more should be done to clear up and use already discarded textiles and incorporate current waste into new products. This will promote the idea of using resources we already have created instead of making more. As consumers, we should hold businesses accountable for their environmental impact, and we should also hold ourselves accountable too. On an individual level, there are actionable steps we can take to contribute to the reduction of fast fashion's harmful effects. We can opt into investing into higher quality garments, do more to embrace clothing swaps, buy gently used clothes, and repair items we already have instead of discarding them. It is also important that we only buy what we actually need and we do more due diligence about the brands we support. I myself am not perfect and don't have all the solutions, but every choice we make can help us steer towards a more sustainable future. In Season 1, Episode 2, Maya and I talk about her app Swapped, which is a solution for fast fashion that she has created. I have also written a blog post with other suggestions and apps that I know of that might be of help. After writing this episode script and presenting potential solutions, I couldn't help but realize that yet again, I have forgotten the voices of those on the ground, and I remember that many of those who I spoke to emphasized that a lot of their livelihoods depend on the market. I thought about how disruptive things would be if we stopped sending clothes to Kantamanto market today. How would these merchants survive? Yet another problem with this trade and this murky supply chain. As hopeful as I am, I know that our textile pollution problems aren't going to immediately disappear. As we look for sustainable solutions, it is crucial to include all voices in the conversation. This is for everything, including the EPR laws being discussed. The funding should be accurately dispersed and should include those who more than likely bear the brunt for the problem they have not caused. We must consider their perspectives and needs when discussing solutions. It is essential that there is accountability. We must ensure that funds are put into place to get the right infrastructure and create a more circular system to support the efforts put into extending the life of these garments and cleaning up the mess. In addition to implementing solutions, we need to recognize and value the contributions of those who keep the market alive. This means fair compensation and support for their work, ensuring that sustainability efforts are inclusive and just. As we move forward, we all need to do what we can to strive to create a more equitable and sustainable future for the second-hand fashion industry. By listening and supporting those directly affected, we can work towards a system that is not exploitative. I encourage you to check out the links in the show notes and my accompanying blog post with suggestions for solutions, pictures at Kantamanto, and more information on some of the things I have only lightly touched on. And before I check out, I'd like to say a huge thank you to everyone who has been involved in getting this episode together. Special shout out to all the retailers I interviewed, to Aseye for being my guiding hand at Kantamanto, to Shanice for the introduction, to Andrew for challenging me with all his questions, and to Nastran and Fabian for support while finalizing my script.